Hi guys. Welcome to
Monday with the Mavens.
All about metabolism.
Yep. The myths, the truths,
The musts,
the musts, the
maybes.
stuff. Yeah. Clearly we didn't plan that part.
It's so funny because we feel like we talk about metabolism a lot, but we were looking and we haven't actually done a full live just on the subject of metabolism. And I think we all have a feel for like what metabolism is, but I don't know if we all truly understand like the role of metabolism in our bodies and how we can inflict change on it.
Yeah, because honestly, the coolest thing about our metabolism is that we are fully in control of, well, maybe not fully, but we are very much in control of how our metabolism helps us or hurts us.
Yeah. And let's just break it down. Like in basic terms, metabolism and your body's metabolism is basically the chemical process that's happening in your cells that is utilizing the fuel that you give your body, so the food that you give your body, and turning it into energy and or storing it as fat. And or building muscle with it, honestly. But the biggest thing is how is your body able to chemically react within your cells to take the food that you put in your mouth and turn it into energy?
Or drinks.
Yeah, anything with any caloric value.
Yeah.
And so if we take a step back and we look at, okay, if we have a sluggish metabolism and our metabolism is not responding well, it's going to lower our base metabolic rate, meaning that we don't burn as many calories just at rest, and that we don't burn as many calories when we're using our body. And so then you are storing more fat because your body is not converting it to energy as much. So the flip side of that is if you can do things that increase your base metabolic rate, then your body is going to use that fuel more for energy and less for fat, and it's going to tap into your fat. So we're going to talk about that a little more today. And I hope that translated. But it's actually really cool when you start to understand how much control you have over how your metabolism responds. And hormones are a big part of that. And the biggest thing that impacts your hormones is the food that you eat.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're super excited to get into kind of the nitty-gritty of metabolism, how your body uses it, how it reacts, because it's changing. It's not a stagnant thing in our body that just stays the same all the time. In fact, it can change from day to day. You can, well, we'll get into this. Hi, okay.
Hi.
Oh,
sorry, I'm getting cozy.
I thought she was getting one for me, but
Oh,
nope.
you want one?
No,
Behind your back?
I sure don't.
Okay.
I'll just lean over here on you. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to get into the nitty gritty, talk about like how your metabolism changes, what you can do to affect your metabolism, how to get it revving, how to get it firing, working for you. What are the things you can do to increase your metabolism if that's something you want to do? How do you know if you have a sluggish metabolism? We'll talk about that a little bit. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm super excited. If you guys are just joining in, thank you so much for being on here with us. If you have questions along the way, if you have something to add, anything, feel free to use the comment section. We're on Instagram and Facebook, so if we're looking at two different cameras, that's why. And I just want to say, for those of you guys that joined in our little interview game last night, thank you so much. We had so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for participating with us. And, we can be a little bit silly at times, and I think
a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and it's just funny because it was a group of women that we didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, there were a handful of women that we did know who were a part of it, but for the most part, they were all new to us. And so to play a little game with them and to have fun it was really fun.
And if you haven't, like, check out their businesses. I know so many of our clients are not local to Southern Oregon, which is where we live. But a lot of their businesses offer services all over.
Yeah.
And so it was a really incredible group of women.
It was really fun.
But all back to metabolism.
Yep.
So just a summary of what we chatted about so far. Metabolism is basically the chemical reaction in your body, in your cells, that takes food or anything with calorie value and translates that to energy. And then when it can't do that and you're not using it for energy, it's going to store it in one way or another, typically fat. And so there is a lot that we can all do to have a direct impact on our metabolism. I do want to say, and we just mentioned this a minute ago, that in my opinion, the biggest thing that we can all do, and there's several other things too, that have the biggest impact on how our metabolism works for us and the biggest impact on what our base metabolic rate is so that we can burn more calories at rest is going to be how we fuel our bodies. It's what we eat. And we see this time and time again, and it's actually the entire philosophy and principle on how we work with our clients. Because yes, like calories in, calories out
has meaning.
It absolutely does. But if you're only going off of calories in, calories out, and you're consistently operating in a deficit, or let's say you're eating low calories during the week, and then you're even if you don't want to call it binging, you're having higher caloric intake on the weekends. Your body's so used to those lower calories that over time it goes into preservation mode, and your base metabolic rate actually decreases, so you're burning fewer calories. Your body, and it's not as efficient as at converting it to energy because it's in preservation modes. Our bodies are really really intelligent, very sophisticated. Mm-hmm. And so you can't just keep lowering calories and lowering calories. Your organs and your body, and especially your brain, will start shutting down on you. Yeah. And so the goal for us in working with our clients is to first find where you're at, what your lifestyle is like, all of the particulars, and then first work on, depending on your goals, repairing your metabolism. And so the way we do that is we slowly and strategically actually increase your calories over a period of time and shift your macros as we go so that your metabolism starts understanding what to expect, and it starts meeting that need and revving more and more and more and more. And we can actually effectively start shifting your base metabolic rate where you start burning more calories at rest, all while shifting body composition, because we're going to be preserving muscle and having your body utilize your fat storage for extra energy. It's such a cool thing.
It's super cool, and it's a little bit more complicated than just increasing calories. Yeah. So if you're thinking about this and you're like, oh, I don't need a macro coach, I'll just increase my calories. Like there's more, that's like the very bare bones minimum of what we do, but like there's so much that goes into actually how we calculate the macros for each specific client. But also I just wanted to piggyback on what Emmy said. So like with our metabolism, if you think about it like a furnace, like every living thing that produces heat, that produces energy, has like some kind of a furnace, something that it's burning to do that with. And our bodies, our metabolism is like that furnace. And so you have to fuel your furnace in order for it to perform, right? So that means like if you want great brain function, if you want your muscles to respond, if you want to feel good, have lots of energy, you have to fuel the furnace within you. And one thing that happens, and a lot of people don't realize this, and I feel like I have a lot of clients who come to us and will be like, I hit the afternoon lull. I don't have sustained energy throughout the day. I don't sleep well. They feel very sluggish. Their metabolism just isn't working for them. And oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes these people are those who come to us and have been chronic undereaters. Yeah. And what happens is our bodies are so smart and so sophisticated. When we chronically undereat, our metabolism adapts to that because our body wants to be as efficient in burning calories as it can be. So if you are only giving it very few calories, it's going to downregulate all your other bodily systems. Maybe you don't have regular bowel movements. Maybe you don't sweat very much. Maybe you sleep poorly. These are all things. Maybe you have like foggy cognition during the day, or hit
brittle
the afternoon
nails, dry hair, dry skin.
Yeah, all of those things are a symptom of a low burning metabolism, a metabolism that is adapted to low calories. And so what we want to do, and maybe even things that you don't notice. So when our metabolism downregulates, all of our bodily systems slow down. Our circulation slows down, which then if you think about it, like if you have like foggy thinking during the day and you think, or maybe you have chronic headaches, like that's another symptom. Like you're not getting enough circulation to your brain because you're not eating enough food to fuel your bodies and your body systems. Maybe when you were in high school, you used to be like a leg tapper. Like I'm constantly like a leg bouncer.
Fidgeter.
I fidget, I bounce my legs all the time. It's just like, I just don't even notice it. When you are adapting, when your metabolism is adapted to very low calories, all of those things stop. Like your body is so smart, it stops doing unnecessary energy burning and it just slows down. So then if you think about it, what Emmy said, you know, calories in, calories out, let's say you're eating 1,000 calories a day. And
which is not uncommon. We have
No,
a lot of
yeah.
clients that come to us and we have them track their first week, and it's not uncommon for some of our clients to be eating as little as 1,000 calories a day.
Which, I mean, I am a very small person and like I need way more than 1,000 calories a day to survive and to be like my best self.
Yeah.
But for sake of argument, let's take a person who eats 1,000 calories a day, who is overweight and doesn't have any energy. Well, if you take that same person and you start fueling their body, and all of a sudden you're giving them the fuel that they need to have more energy, to get moving, all of a sudden, like, so many things click into place for these people. It's my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
But with the down regulation, like people don't even realize that they are low energy sometimes until they start fueling themselves appropriately. And then all of a sudden I'll have a client write to me and say, I have more energy than I know what to do with, or I'm sleeping really great, or all of a sudden my fingernails are growing and they haven't grown in years. And, you know, little things like that are like these non-scale victories that I think are so meaningful. And really it's when we get that metabolism regulated and then we get it revving and working for you. And it's just, it's the best.
Well, and the hormones have so much to do with that, right? Because the food that we fuel ourselves is what has a direct impact on our hormones. So specifically to metabolism, it's going to be leptin, it's going to be insulin, it's going to be all of our sex hormones. So those are things like estradiol, testosterone, progesterone, and then it's also going to be our growth hormone. And food affects hormones so much, and that's why we talk a lot about hormone harmony versus a hormone hurricane. But I just want to piggyback on what Haley said because...
Well, I piggybacked on you and now you're piggybacking on me.
We just piggybacked all day long. Let's use her example of that person that is tired in the afternoon, only eating 1,000 calories a day and overweight and unhealthy. We won't even go into that. But if you took them from 1,000 calories a day and immediately, let's say, shot them up to 1,500 calories a day or 2,000 calories a day, they're absolutely going to gain weight because they were metabolically adapted to a lower base metabolic rate. However, if you take that same person, and this is how we really work with clients that has a slow adapted metabolism, so they've lowered their base metabolic rate because they've underfueled themselves and it's affected their endocrine system that has a profound effect on their metabolism, and you slowly increase their calories and they can be consistent. And not only that, but we also shift their macros being protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And we do that in a way that really supports their all of their systems, but specifically their hormones. Then you start seeing this beautiful thing. Like a lot of people are under eating on protein. They need that to preserve muscle as they're shedding fat. A lot of people are under eating on fat. They need that for hormone support. A lot of people are afraid of carbs. Good fuel coming from good carbohydrates is what's going to provide you good energy. AK says, hell yeah!
That was me! A lot of people.
It is. And people become so fearful of food when in reality, like, food is one of the most valuable tools that we have to appropriately fuel our bodies and fuel our brains. And so then you start fueling your body starts expecting this slight increase in calories over time in terms of the method that we use. And now your hormones are starting to get into more harmony. Your sex hormones are starting to, and by sex hormones, once again, those are things like testosterone, estradiol, progesterone, DHEA, the list goes on. And you need those balanced out because that is what's going to have an effect on fertility. It's going to have an effect on your organs, your sleep,
your mood, your brain,
your digestion.
Yeah.
So then we really make sure that over time we can slowly increase protein if needed, making sure we're keeping fats at a level that's supporting your hormones, and that we're really working on fueling the right type of carbohydrates to get a person feeling well. Then when we get to the top of what we call a reverse, you have this much more functioning metabolism. So what we like to call a repaired metabolism that's burning at a lot higher rate even at rest. And then and only then should we use a temporary deficit that could allow a client to have more aggressive fat loss. But you don't want to end at a deficit, because once again, if you stay too low for too long, your metabolism will readapt down to that lower amount. So that's why we like to climb our clients back up, with the goal being higher caloric intake, leaner body mass, with a more flexible metabolism, and it's totally sustainable because you can fit those things in with more flexibility.
Yeah. And also, let's talk about this just for a minute too. Let's take that person who was regularly eating about 1,000 calories a day, not losing any weight, and feeling just generally crappy. Yeah. What we've done as a society is we have trained that person to think that what they're doing is wrong, and then they need to eat less, right? That's basically what society and our culture has taught us. And so then that person who's already not eating enough to support their bodily systems and their metabolism then decides to go on a diet and to cut back even further. So now we're like so when we say repair your metabolism is not broken. Nobody has a broken metabolism. It is just so smart and so sophisticated. It is downregulating to the point where we are the ones who are like doing the damage, essentially. Like when we then reduce calories even more from, like, say that person who's eating 1,000, let's say they reduce down to like 700, 600 calories. It's just not enough food to sustain a person. And so our metabolism isn't broken, it's responding to the inputs that we are giving it. So if you're not giving it the proper inputs, it's just responding to that. It's going to downregulate even further, and then continue to take the food that you are giving it and storing it, because it's like, I'm going to need this, because if I get any less, we are going to have, I need X amount of calories for your brain to survive and for your other bodily systems. So when we say repair your metabolism, it's not broken. It's just adjusting to the things that we are doing to it. So
we want to upregulate your metabolism so that we can increase your base metabolic rate, so that you're burning more calories at rest, and that then the things that you do in addition to rest, that you're going to be burning more calories, and that your body understands how to use that fuel and turn it into energy versus storing it for fat.
Yep. And we want to flip the paradigm. And so instead of people being like, I need to go on a diet because I'm not losing weight, instead we need to re-look at what you are actually eating and adjust things from there. Because oftentimes, not always, not every one of our clients comes in under eating. That's not the case for everybody. It's the case for many of them. But we need to flip it. It's not, you don't always need to reduce your calories to lose weight.
Nope.
That's not how it works. Sometimes you need to talk to somebody who understands a little bit more about how the bodily systems work, and sometimes you need to slowly increase your calories, get your metabolism working for you,
get your hormones
balanced. Yeah, I mean, all of it. It's like our bodily systems are this beautiful married system, like, right? Our bodies are so intricate and everything is connected. And so I feel like I'm super passionate about like people taking what they're already doing and then like dieting on top of that. Like, it's not the answer. Like,
well, and then you're creating more stress on your body. You're probably not getting as much deep and restorative sleep. And honestly, like, in addition to nutrition, and we're going to get into this in a little bit more detail, being able to get deep restorative sleep, being able to move your body, like, all of those things have an impact on metabolism. But if you are in a deficit for too long, you're adding an unnecessary amount of stress to your body. It's probably not allowing you to get the REM and the deep sleep that you need to really restore for your cells to clean themselves out. And then you're probably in a higher state a higher state of stress, which is a whole nother thing in terms of the impact on your hormones. And
we
so
do have a whole live on stress and metabolism.
And we have a whole live on hormones.
Yeah. So go watch those back to back one day when you're super bored.
And stress, well, we'll save that. But so far we've really talked about what metabolism actually is, and that we do have the ability to have an impact on how our metabolisms work for us. So if you're finding yourself with any of those symptoms, now this doesn't necessarily always directly correlate with metabolism, but if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling frustrated, if you feel like you've been on a yo-yo, if you feel like you're already pretty low in calories and you have fat storage that's like really stubborn, if you're feeling lethargic, fatigued, if you are having digestive issues, if you're having problems sleeping, if you have dry skin, dry hair, brittle nails, like those are oftentimes associated with a downregulated metabolism, primarily because you probably don't have hormone harmony. And so they all go hand in hand. And one of like my favorite things is when we get our clients eating more, and oftentimes they're like, oh my gosh, like this is so much food, but then they start getting hungry. Like they start getting hungry, and it's like a pretty new sensation for them because their metabolism starts firing more, their base metabolic rate starts increasing, and they feel that hunger, and they're using that fuel, and they're eating more calories, but they're shedding fat, and it's like, it is the coolest thing to see. I mean, that was part of Haley and I's motivation for starting Macro Mavens, is because we ourselves went our entire adult lives like killing ourselves in the gym and trying all these different things. I mean, paleo and Whole30 and keto and all the things, and like you could get a little leaner for a little while, but like it wasn't sustainable in a way where like you could really fuel your body and have a leaner body composition without having to like we both like to work out, but you don't have to kill yourself. In fact, oftentimes you're doing more harm than help.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I totally 100% agree. I will say that there is absolutely a time and a place for things like Whole30, especially Whole30. Like, I am a Whole30 fan, don't get me wrong. It is such a great tool to use to figure out if you have food sensitivities. Yeah. It's a great way to eliminate inflammatory foods from your diet. Anyway.
Same, and even like paleo, like I think the more whole foods we can eat, and we talk about the role of chronic inflammation in the body a lot. Like those are not bad things in and of themselves, but if you don't understand how to really fuel yourself and you're doing those things in a long-term deficit, you're still eating what sounds like nutrient-dense foods, which is fantastic, but you could get so much further so much faster if you understood how to fuel your body and how to get your metabolism working for you.
Yeah. I remember on one of those, I can't remember which one, must have been paleo. I ate so many sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
That's basically all I was eating. And I was like, wow, this isn't working.
I used to eat, like when I very first started tracking macros and I like looked at my intake, the amount of fat, which fat isn't bad, but I ate so much fat, healthy fats, like butter and olive oil and nuts, and I still eat healthy fats, but I ate more fat than anything. I ate more fat than I ate protein.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I was like 70% fat every day.
Yeah,
and the rest
it was
sweet
healthy.
potatoes.
It was healthy, but like I wasn't getting enough protein to preserve my muscle, and I wasn't getting enough healthy carbohydrates to provide me energy. And I need the fat for my hormones, but I don't need that much fat.
Yeah, and I was always wondering, like, how come I can do all these curls, but I don't have a single bicep muscle?
Yeah, because
giving
you
myself
have to feed
protein.
yourself protein to have muscle preservation or growth. Okay, AK says, even the Whole30 says, if they read the book and follow the vlog.
It's just 30 days.
Yeah.
Yep. Not a 300. I remember when I did the Whole30 the first time. I've done it several times. I remember doing it and being like, I'm just going to do this for the rest of my life. Like, because you feel good, because it's anti-inflammatory, so you feel good. Well, after you get, whatever, you feel good eventually on it, which I still do.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, we meet our clients where they're at, and you can have so much progress by simply just meeting your macro goals and fitting the foods in that you enjoy. But we do talk to our clients about the role of inflammation, because that is like the next best thing. If you can couple macros with a non-inflammatory approach, it is like magic.
Yep.
So it's huge, and we have a whole non-inflammatory protocol for our clients if they're open to it. And so let's get into that, because we talked about what metabolism is. We talked about the symptoms of a sluggish metabolism, and then what affects metabolism. And so we talked about how hormones have an impact on metabolism. Poor sleep has an impact on metabolism. Food has a huge, nutrition in general is the #1 driver of an effective metabolism in terms of how you're fueling your body, the consistency in which you're fueling your body, and then there are some things which are the primary inflammatory foods that do have an impact on metabolism long term. So that's going to be your grains, your alcohol, your sugar, your seed oils, your processed foods, and your dairy. Those are not all necessarily like bad foods per se, but they are more inflammatory, and long-term chronic inflammation in your body, like low-level chronic inflammation in your body, is what ultimately leads to disease. So if you're somebody that already has some form of autoimmune and or some form of diagnoses that is not
I love
improving.
it when people say diagnoses.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, because
I don't
a
say that.
diagnosis is singular, diagnoses are plural.
Really?
Yeah.
I just learned that right this instant. You guys just saw me learn something. I didn't know that.
And that's funny because you're much more of a word person.
Well, I'm
than
a
I
word
am.
person, but when I think about it, it makes sense. I don't know that I've ever thought about like making like, I think I would just say multiple diagnoses. That doesn't work. That's not a word. Diagnoses. Okay.
Anyways,
sorry.
like we have a lot of clients that come to us with like Hashimoto's, a lot of thyroid. I mean,
Oh my
lots
gosh,
of thyroid.
so many thyroid issues.
And you know, it's once again like people who chronically undereat carbs are not fueling their thyroid. Like there's so many different things. However, some people that are coming to us in some form of disease state already, it's all the more important for them to consider a non-inflammatory approach, which also aids in your metabolism. And so if we get to a plateau or we get stuck with clients, we really talk to them about that because it's amazing what a difference that can make.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Okay, should we go into metabolic boosters?
Yeah.
Okay, what were you thinking?
We just haven't touched much on exercise, but we can do it in the boosters.
It's a booster.
It's a booster, guys.
It's a booster. Okay, so what can we all do to increase our base metabolic rate and have our metabolisms working the best they can? Let's start with exercise because we're going to hit a myth here. A lot of people just assume that metabolism decreases with age. And it doesn't have to. What does often decrease with age is activity and muscle mass. If you can keep your body strong and start at a young age, and if you haven't started, start now, that is going to aid in keeping a higher base metabolic rate and a more flourishing metabolism.
But hold on.
Yeah.
There's more.
Please.
I think attached to that same myth is that you have to do a bunch of cardio in order to get your metabolism really revving for you.
No.
And that is a big old fat myth.
Yeah.
Is that an M? That's an
Yeah.
M.
Big old
Myth.
fat
Myth. That's a myth because it's actually the opposite. And I think that a lot of people are confused on this, and when it comes to movement, that you have to kill yourself like in the cardio. You got to run a marathon. You've got to be, you've got to do whatever it is. You've got to be on the air bike for 5 hours or the elliptical or whatever. It's a myth. What you want to do, because what is it in our body that needs a lot of energy? It's our muscles. Our muscles need a lot of energy. If you have very small muscles, if you're a very small person, I feel like I'm a small person and my muscles are not big.
She's strong though.
Well, but you don't build muscles by just sitting around.
No.
You also don't build muscles by running 1,000 miles every day.
Yeah.
You build muscles by picking up heavy things and setting them down. And then you pick them up again and you set them down. And if that looks like picking up your groceries 5 times a day, amazing. If that looks like going to the gym and doing a bunch of weighted exercises, awesome. But like, if you want to build muscle, because muscle helps contribute to your base metabolic rate, the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest, then you got to get to the gym or you've got to do something to put some resistance training against those muscles. You got to build.
And muscle equals longevity. So the more healthy muscle mass you have often translates to the longer, more thriving life you can live.
Yeah.
And so, we are first and foremost all about nutrition. And when our clients start with us and they start fairly sedentary, we don't have them start moving right away because we want to dial in their nutrition first. Because it's like, 80+% nutrition, you guys.
Yeah.
However, movement is important. Now, if you love to run, great, run, because it's great for your mental health, and it's still really good to move your body. Like, it's fantastic. However, if you can fit in some form of resistance training, it's gonna go so much further. Not to mention, a lot of people want to have that lean, toned look, and you can't see muscle that you don't have. So we can help you shed the fat, but if there's no muscle under there, you're not going to see that muscle.
Yeah. I've heard a little analogy that going to the gym and lifting weights is like putting money in the bank for later. It's like putting money into your savings account. You can go out and run a mile every day if you want to, and your body might not necessarily change. But if you go into the gym every day and you lift weights and you are building muscle, then that is going to propel you. It's going to give you longer life, more energy, boost your metabolism. And as we age, we have to do more work to preserve our muscle. Like, our bodies need, and I think it's just a matter of, like, it's just where you are in life. Yeah. When you're young and you have young kids, you're naturally moving your body more. As your kids get older, I've seen this, my kids are 17 and 14. As my kids are older, they're very active, but they need me much less. I'm not picking them up at all. In fact, I don't know that I could pick up my son. He could pick me up.
You could pick him up.
I could pick him up. I'm not going to carry him very far, but I can pick him up. But it becomes so much more important for longevity and just feeling good. I think, and you probably know this, Emmy, there's like a data point where, like, it's something about being able to sit down on the ground and get yourself up.
Oh.
And I don't know, I don't even know why I'm going there, but I think that alone, like, if you are a person who has a hard time getting up from a seated position on the ground, like, there are things you can do. You know, you just need to pick up heavy things and set them down.
And you guys, it's amazing what just a little bit, like, it doesn't mean that you have to have some really lengthy weight routine or some expensive program. Like, even just doing some body weight resistance training can go a long ways. They're actually, and I don't want to misspeak on this, but one of the biggest mortality rates in older people is because of falls. And I'll actually pull up the study and maybe we'll share it in stories. It's amazing. At an older age, those who started with any type of resistance training at a younger age, their mortality rate is often so much higher because they survive those falls, because you see so often somebody with like a broken hip or something like that, it ends up translating to what leads to ultimately, you know, their passing.
Yeah. I heard a statistic about, like, an older person, if an elderly person falls and, like, breaks a bone, like in their leg, a hip or something, their mortality rate within 1 year is like exponential. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Unless they have a good foundation of, like, bone and muscle health from being younger. But it's like a I wonder if we heard the same thing.
Well, and
it, like, blew my mind.
And it all goes back to what we're talking about, right? Like, we're talking about having optimal bodily systems. And so the way that we do that is we fuel our body, we fuel our brain. We don't operate in a deficit for too long. We give our bodies what we need to have good hormone harmony, because then things like sleep, we're getting better deep and restorative sleep. We're able to be more stress resilient. We're able to have better cognitive function. We're able to have more energy throughout our days, which often makes us feel better about what we're able to accomplish, which leads to more gratitude, which also leads to better health. Like, it's this beautiful thing, but what happens is when we start moving less and maybe eating less, and then we start getting into a hormone hurricane and our sleep starts suffering and our stress resilience goes down, we start deteriorating and we're not our best selves. And there's no reason, like, yes, most of our clients come to us for body aesthetics out of the gate, but our goal is that they graduate from us not only having reached their physical goals, but more importantly, like, having energy and deep and restorative sleep and better balanced hormones and less anxiety. I mean, we hear that all of the time. And more gratitude and, like, getting outside and moving their body and reading more. Like, it's the things in life that spark joy, right? Yeah. Like, metabolism is far more important. Yay, we got some hearts.
Oh, Emmy loves it when you guys give us hearts. It's like her favorite thing ever.
Metabolism translates oftentimes to better body composition. However, metabolism, when you have a better base metabolic rate and your metabolism is working more for you, your entire body is working better for you. I
Somebody
love
just
all
loves
these
it
hearts
so much.
And so you're winning like all the way around. And I just think it's we talked about this morning in our client Zoom, finding your why, like really identifying like what is your why. It can be physical, but it can be, you know, it can be an experience. It can be how you're feeling. It can be, yeah, I mean, your why can be anything, but identifying it. And then I think, you know, this sounds kind of silly. We mentioned this morning too, but put it around your house. Put it on your bathroom mirror. Put it on your refrigerator. Put it on your car dash. Put it wherever you're going to see it, because motivation is fleeting, and we have to create discipline to allow us to be our best selves, to feel our best. And when we're reminded of our why, oftentimes in those lack of motivation moments, discipline can kick in.
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to slap it all around.
Totally, yeah.
Because
I've got sticky notes all over my house for
Yeah.
different random things. And yeah, and when you lose sight of your why,
Yeah.
that's when, like, on the days when you're not motivated, where you're like, well, what am I doing this for anyway? Like, it's so
Yeah.
much easier not to put the work in. And so, but when you have the why staring you at in the face and be like, oh, wait, my goal is to be able to climb Mount McLaughlin on a whim, you know, well, I'm just not going to be able to do that, you know, anytime. I need to train for that. My body needs to be in good shape. I need to be fueling myself properly. And it's those little things, those little nuggets that are reminding you, pushing you, your why. Like, why are you doing this? Do you want to have more energy to spend time with your grandkids, or, you know, with your own kids? Do you want to be the best mom you can be, or the best dad you can be? Like, what is it for you?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so far we've talked about like what is metabolism, which, like, drilling it down, it's the chemical process in our bodies that happens in our cells that takes calories and turns them into fuel. And if your base metabolic rate is downregulated and it can't appropriately turn that fuel into energy, it's going to store it as fat. And so then we talked about some signs of a sluggish metabolism, and now we're talking about some things that we can all do to help our metabolisms work better for us. The biggest thing is nutrition. It's huge, and we talked about our process and really getting that metabolic response to try to get out of that metabolic adaptation and get it firing for you so that you're also really fueling your brain. And then we just talked about movement and how any form of movement, low intensity, steady state movement is really important, which is just your overall movement throughout the day, but also some form of resistance training for muscle preservation is going to help you burn more calories at rest, and it's going to really help you with longevity in the end game. Muscle is our friend, you guys.
There's
Even
nothing
minimal muscle.
negative about it. Like,
No.
literally, there's not one bad thing about muscle. The only bad thing about it is you got to work for it.
You do. And it's not something that you can buy.
It's not free.
Maybe there's like, I don't know.
No, you can't. I
yeah.
mean, I don't think there's anything like no, you can't buy it.
And then, so we've talked about nutrition, we've talked about movement, we touched on sleep, but you guys, like, once again, because of how much hormones impact metabolism, sleep impacts hormones, and hormones impact sleep. So it's this whole cycle.
It's all married.
It is. And we have on our website, macromavens.life, if you click on the toolbox, we have a lot of free tools there, and one is called our Deep and Restorative Sleep Protocol. Almost everything on there is free. It's just, we've done an entire live on sleep as well, but it's just really walking you through how to set yourself up for deeper, more restorative sleep, because there are a lot of people that get a fair amount of quantity of sleep, but if your quality of sleep is not good, you're not getting enough REM sleep, which you really need for like memory consolidation and imagination and all of those things, and then deep sleep, which is where your body and your cells like clean themselves out. And so if you're not getting that, it has an impact on your metabolism and on your hormones. And so there are things we can all do to improve our sleep. Let's just go through real quick a couple of those.
Okay, because you haven't heard us talk about them before. Okay, easy things, like things that you can incorporate right now, today, tonight. You need to have a dark room. If you have lights on in your house or that are shining in your room, get some curtains or blinds. Your room should be dark. eliminate blue light at least 2 hours before you go to bed. So that's like light from an iPad, light from your TV, light from your phone. You can get some blue light blocking glasses if you like to watch something before you go to bed, but eliminate blue.
Get the TV out of your room.
Get the TV out of your room, whatever it is. I don't even think TVs are the biggest deal anymore, as much as like people just having their phones in their bed and it being like phone and then good night and then you struggle to fall asleep maybe.
Yeah.
So a cool room, like having your room a little bit cooler is really helpful with sleep. If you can get your kids out of your bed, your pets out of your bed, sometimes you may need to get your spouse out of your bed. I don't know. My spouse has been snoring a lot lately, and I've been like, dude, you got to figure that out, because I can't. But anyway.
Sleep is so important. Yep. And then in addition to that, we talk a lot about hydration. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But if you can try to stop drinking your fluids a good 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed so that you're not waking up having to go to the bathroom, that's going to really help, especially if you struggle going back to sleep. Also food, try to close your eating window a couple hours before you go to bed so your body's not working to digest food while you're sleeping, because oftentimes that will prohibit you from being able to get into deep sleep, and deep sleep oftentimes happens in the earlier part of your sleep cycle. You're also, anything that you can do to try to make a plan before you go to bed for the next day so that if you wake up, you don't have that racing brain. You already have a plan. Things are always a bigger deal in the middle of the night. And so that's making making a list for your next day before you go to bed. Doing some breathing, practicing some gratitude. If you have a prayer life, really spending some time in prayer. Like all those things help set you up for a more relaxed sleep, allowing you to get into your deep sleep faster. All of that is written out for you. macromavens.life, toolbox, free download.
And sometimes, in the end, and it's only to supplement the things that you are doing, is you can take a sleep supplement, which we have a fantastic one that is like, I just love it. It's called Super Sleep. You can check it out on our website also.
Yeah. And and I think that Kimberly from Volamos is on here too. If you're local to Southern Oregon, we sell both Super Sleep and Mighty Metabolism down at Volamos in Central Point. You can pop in any of their open hours and grab it off the shelf. And I will say, like, we always want our clients to do all the natural things first, right? Like try all of those things first. And then if you're still stuck, that's when something like a supplement comes in, which means supplement.
Yeah.
And for me, like, Super Sleep has been an absolute game changer, and I track all of my data with my Oura Ring, so I've been actually able to see I'm an efficient sleeper now, meaning I don't need as much sleep, but when I do sleep, I get really good REM and deep sleep, and it is a game changer. So if that's something you're struggling with, like absolutely, first try all the other things. If you're interested in Super Sleep, you can read about it. It's amazing.
It is. Yep, we love it.
Okay, so we've talked about the nutrition component, we've talked about the movement component, we've talked about the sleep component. Let's talk about hydration.
Ooh, man. Again, if you haven't heard us talk about this, then you haven't listened to us very long, because if there are a few things that we preach, it's nutrition, sleep, and hydration. Hydration is critical, you guys. It is so critical.
In fact, if you don't have water by you right now, please go get some. And if you do, let's take a minute and take a sip.
It's so critical. If you think about it, every single cell in your entire body requires water. Now that's a lot of cells, and that's a lot of water, right? And if you think about if your cells in your body are dehydrated, and my mom told me this when I was little, I was a chronic lip licker, like constantly licking my lips, and she's like, go drink some water. And I'm like, that's crazy. Water doesn't make my lips not dry, but it actually does if you are hydrated, because if you think about your cells, they are nice and full and plump when they are hydrated. When your cells are dehydrated, they shrink up and they shrivel up. And it is this, I mean, I just don't even want to get into all of it, but your circulation slows down, which gives you headaches, right? So a lot of times if my kids are like, I have a headache, I'm like, have you drank any water today? Like, you need to drink water for your circulation so that blood gets to your brain, so that your brain can function well. For your digestive tract, if you are not having regular bowel movements, one of the first things that you need to do is make sure you are drinking minimum half of your body weight in ounces of water every single day.
That means if you're 150 pounds, a minimum of 75 ounces.
Yeah, we push our clients to drink a gallon of water a day just because, like, a gallon is an easy, like, everybody can go to the store and buy a gallon jug, or if you want to hop on Amazon and buy a gallon water bottle that looks like you're carrying around a little baby, whatever that looks like for you. But a gallon of water a day, you are guaranteed to be hydrated. We want you to stop drinking that water, though, a couple hours before you go to bed so that you're not up all night. We also don't want you to go from drinking 12 ounces of water a day to drinking 128 ounces of water a day. Like, it's got to be a slow roll. So if you're not much of a water drinker, start with what you can and then slowly increase 10 ounces. 10 ounces is like a very small cup, right? Everybody thinks of things like, or at least I think everybody thinks of things in like ounces of coffee. So like an 8 ounce is like a little kid's cup, 12 ounces is small, 16 ounces is a medium, 20 ounces is a large. If you think about it like that, like if you need half of your body weight in ounces to be hydrated, how many, you know, venti cups or whatever do you need to drink? And then try to get to that point, and then when you get to half of your body weight in ounces, push it to the next 10 ounces until you're at a gallon. And you will be amazed at how good you feel when you're hydrated. You won't ever have to lick your lips. Your hair will feel nice and full and shiny, and your skin will be glowy. And when I am fully hydrated, I don't need to put lotion on my skin or anything like that. It's really, it's like
I do.
It's well, and I feel like I'm like a naturally like a dry skin person, but like when I am really hydrated, I don't need lotion. Like I don't have the dry skin.
That's awesome.
So do it. Drink your water.
And not only that, like Haley talked about all the benefits of it, but it is such an energy booster. Like being hydrated will help you with your energy throughout the day. It also, and I think you touched on digestion.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just do it, you guys. Like it's huge, and it really has an impact on your metabolism. It also has an impact on your hormones, which has an impact on your metabolism. So water is accessible to all of us, and it is just something that we can easily incorporate in. Set a reminder on your phone if you need to. Like have it beep every hour to remind you to drink some water. Start your day with water before you drink your coffee.
Oh, before you drink your coffee. Like give your body a little flush out first.
Yeah. I mean, just little things like that. It really adds up over the day.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about nutrition. We talked about movement. We talked about sleep. We talked about hydration. This kind of goes into movement, but just some little things that you can do throughout.
Oh, your bicep was like nice and strong when you did that.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, look
No,
guys,
I'm not. Sorry.
She lifts weights, guys.
Now
She's got a fast burning metabolism.
I haven't always.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm feeling really stupid that I just flexed.
No, I liked it.
Okay, little things. Stand up. Like, stand up more throughout your day. If you are a desk worker, if you sit behind a desk throughout the day, if you can consider a standing desk, it's really, really good for your body. Even if you can start with a partial day, talk to your employer. Like a lot of people will actually provide a different ergonomic setup for you. So there's just a simple act of shifting from sitting to standing throughout the day can not only burn calories, but that has an impact on your metabolism over time.
Yep.
Just like increasing your overall steady, like low intensity, steady state movement. So parking a little bit further away, taking the stairs, going on just a little, it doesn't have to be little, it can be big too, but a walk, like an after dinner walk is going to help with digestion. It's going to help really get your metabolism working for you before you go to bed. All the little things that can add up throughout the day are huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep. Yep. We got to wrap this up. We've been talking for a long time.
Okay, sounds good. Do you have a quick question, buddy? Okay. Yep. I have my youngest over here that just popped in.
He's just standing there looking at us.
He's just staring at us. You can come around the back and say hi.
If you have kids, my kids have done this to me in the past, but where you're sleeping, you're like in a dead sleep and you wake up and they're like standing right next to you. Yeah.
This one is known for that.
Scout,
yeah.
Standing there.
And then there are some things that you can do. You know, I think there's so much information out there about foods that fuel your metabolism. I think the most important thing is that you are consistently fueling your body, that you're fueling your body enough, and that if you're not, you're strategically increasing how you're fueling your body so your metabolism can work for you.
Yep.
Yes, things like spicy foods, things like cinnamon, things like green tea, all of those can have an impact on your metabolism. We talked about super sleep earlier. Like if you're already, like we first want you to start you with your nutrition, but if you dialed in those things and you want a little extra metabolic boost, we do have Mighty Metabolism, which was designed to really help us from a cortisol regulation, from a hormone regulation, specifically working with leptin in our bodies, and to really get our metabolism fueling for us. But you first need to dial in your nutrition before you think about doing some form of a supplement.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that sounds silly coming from us because we've created this supplement that we're in love with, and we do think that it provides so much benefit. But there's no such thing as a magic pill. Like, you need to understand the nutrition and not just think that a pill is going to fix everything for you. You'd still get benefit if you changed nothing else, but we really, really want people to understand the role of nutrition and how to fuel your body and fuel your brain.
Yep.
If you're interested in Mighty Metabolism, you can go to macromavens.life, click on the shop page, and you can read all about it.
Yep, you can order it there too.
Yep, absolutely.
You can also get it at Velamos if you're interested. But yeah, it's a supplement. That's all it is. You're supplementing what you're already doing.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, let's do our wrap up. If you watch this after the fact and you have any questions, absolutely, please message us, put it in the comment box, whatever works for you. We love chatting with you guys. We do our best to respond to any comments that we get or any messages that we get. Today, we were talking about all things metabolism. So we really talked about what metabolism is, what the role of metabolism is, how metabolism works in our body, how to identify if you have a sluggish metabolism, and things you can do to boost your metabolism naturally, things that we can all do.
We talked about some myths, capital M. We talked about some musts, some things that you should be doing. And we talked about, you know, how the decisions that you make about what you put in your body have a direct impact on your metabolism and how you can shift that.
You can take control of your health.
Yeah.
You absolutely can. Like today, there are simple things that you can do. And the reason why we are so passionate about Macro Mavens is we see it make such a difference for so many people. And not only are they reaching their aesthetic goals, but they're just feeling better, guys. Like they are going through life thriving.
Yeah.
And if you have an interest, if you have questions, if you want a free consult with one of our coaches to see if we'd be a good fit for you, once again, macromavens.life, you'd click the hop on board button. That'll allow one of our coaches to reach out. It doesn't commit you to anything, but it starts the conversation, and we'd love to help you.
Yep.
So
totally.
Also, we have a big announcement coming later this week.
Oh yeah, stay tuned. We teased about it a little bit.
We're real excited about it.
Super excited. You should be too. So get your friends together and stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks, guys.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.